Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are joining us from around the world. Welcome to our monthly EORE webinar series. This is Lubna Alem, and I'm the secretary of the EORE Advisory Group. So, on behalf of the EORE AG, it's a pleasure to welcome all of you today in June's webinar. So before we begin, I just would like to note that this is our first webinar hosted on Microsoft Teams following our transition from Zoom. So we would appreciate your patience should there be any minor technical issues. So since launching the EORE Hour webinar series in September 2021, so that's almost 5 years ago, we have now hosted more than 20 EORE Hour webinars, all of which are available on the EORE Advisory Group YouTube channel. And I'm going to share with you all the relevant links in the chat. And over these years, the series has reached more than 1,000 registered participants to the platform, bringing together practitioners, partners, and humanitarian professionals from the mine action sector and also from related sectors. So in today's session, we will focus on a very timely and forward-looking topic, which is innovating EORE through digital approaches. We are pleased to have with us the Mine Advisory Group, MAG, who will lead an interactive discussion on innovating EORE through Play, the Iraq mobile game app. And in this webinar, we will explore together how digital-first approaches can support risk education in context of evolving operational and funding environments, and how innovative tools can be used to engage communities, particularly the youth, in meaningful ways. So the session will also draw on MAG's experience in developing and deploying a mobile game app in Iraq, including how to balance engaging gameplay with humanitarian safety standards, how to leverage local development capacities, and promote outreach through social media. So we have quite a lot of rich topics to address today. So we are very pleased to be joined by three very prominent speakers from MAG: Abdullah Dapoos, Digital EORE Officer in Iraq; Chnur Ezzet, National Community Liaison Manager in Iraq; and Robin Toal, Global Digital Risk Education Advisor. So without further ado, I will now hand over to the speakers. So I think we'll start with Robin. You can share, or Abdullah, you can share the screen.
Yeah, I am going to share the screen. Okay.
Perfect, we can see your screen.
Yeah, over to Robin or Chnur.
Chnur, can you unmute yourself?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lubna. Thank you, Abdullah, for the introduction. I'm Chnur Ezzet, the Community Liaison Manager for Iraq program, leading the Community Liaison and the Risk Education teams in the program. MAC has been working in Iraq for more than 33 years, responding for the different phases of the conflict, starting with the legacy contamination and following by the recent contamination led after the ISIS. Both contaminations, improvised explosive devices or the explosive ordnance, normally so often is placed in the area when the community life, normal daily life taking place. It could be in the way or on the pathway on the farmer land. Through our engagement with the community, we find out that the problem is not only the technical issue. The problem is for promoting the safe behavior within the community to be able to obtain and live within this community. And the community, this is where community engagement and risk education are essential. Through our community, our work within the community, we find out that it will be very important if we can engage or increase the safe behavior among the community through new traditional. While the risk education or the main risk education is still important, but we face some challenge when it's related to specific agent groups, especially within the student age group, when they are more exposed group of the people, they find themselves is less engaged with the traditional EORE risk education. From this point, we thought about creating a new technology or new mobile game that increase their knowledge and improve their behavior through the safe behavior, through engaging with the safe technology. So today we will go through the conflicts, the challenge, and the introduction to the digital approach and to develop the better engagement at risk group based on what we see on the field. Now I will handle it to Robin to talk you through the context and the more details. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chnur. Next slide, please, Abdullah. So yeah, I will just introduce us all to the current problem and the context that we are facing in Iraq that has provoked this digital development. So firstly, in terms of the funding environment, for 2 decades, there's been consistent, strong funding for Iraq, but in recent years, those priorities from donors have shifted, and we are now seeing unprecedented funding reductions across our traditional EORE activities. And as a result of MAG and other organizations working in Iraq, we're no longer able to sustain the same number of field deployments, and we are looking to develop alternative solutions to maintain our reach into communities. So in direct response to that, both of Iraq's national mine action authorities with the federal Iraq and the Kurdistan Mine Action Authority strongly advocating for us and other organizations to shift towards digital approaches to mitigate and bridge those operational gaps, trying to use digital platforms as a kind of scalable, cost-effective solution to continue to reach into communities we are maybe less able to connect with due to the reductions in the traditional approaches. Onto the target group, the accident data across Iraq consistently demonstrates a strong trend in that young men and adolescent boys remain statistically the most vulnerable to explosive remnants of war. This is due to livelihood activities, travel, outdoor recreation, and that the group is frequently kind of exposed to contaminated environments. And as a result, we must need to adapt our approaches to that group and that priority demographic in particular. There is a bit of a challenge with that group, as many of us may have experienced, that that same high-risk demographic of young men, adolescent boys, historically the least likely to engage with our traditional in-person EORE activities. And, you know, this new digitally native generation, we need to adapt to the different ways and engage them where they are most active and push our approaches to them rather than trying to pull them into what we're trying to deliver in a traditional space. General kind of digital mobilization challenge. This exists across all of kind of digital risk education, very competitive, congested landscape. how do you actually, attract people's attention and sufficiently engage them in a meaningful way that enables us to shift behavioral change. And then lastly, a common problem across many legacy contexts is that message fatigue. After 2 decades of regularly repeating the same thing, there is a risk that, these messages kind of fade away into background noise, and instead, we need to provide something that is a bit more kind of engaging and adapted to the modern context. Next slide, please, Abdullah. So we will put this into the chat if you're able to quickly answer for us. We ran these same questions 5 years ago. So we'll run them again today, and it'll give us a nice snapshot of, what the kind of perspectives on the approaches to digital risk education were back then compared to now. So with that, apologies, these questions are slightly clunky. But I didn't want to change them from the previous version and spoil the comparison. So if everybody could complete those, we'll have a few more polls come up through the event. Next slide, please, Abdullah. So yeah, as we were discussing, when we look at the accident data in Iraq, the demographic profile is clear. 90% of all explosive ordnance casualties are male. And when we look strictly at child casualties, 85% of those victims are young boys. As the global mine action, the Mine Action Monitor shows that children and young people make up 47% of all civilian casualties. So not just a problem in Iraq, but in other places as well. In terms of the drivers of the risk, it's based on the daily behavior and the socioeconomic realities of this target group. They're frequently exposed to contaminated environments due to their daily travel routes, outdoor recreation, and essential livelihood activities such as herding livestock or collecting materials. And they're constantly on the move through these contaminated environments where there is a persistent threat to them. So there's we're trying to move and transition to a new strategy, and trying to directly engage with an active mobile youth demographic that faces these problems every day. And we need to design our approaches to appeal to those to have the maximum impact on saving lives in Iraq. Next slide, please, Abdullah. The approach is backed by the digital landscape on the ground. Iraq, very young country, median age of just 21. Highly digital engaged community, 84% of the population uses social media every day, and the average time spent is about 6 to 7 hours a day. So similar to other people in other places, the extent of digital engagement is intense. And to an extent, the traditional community spaces that took place in person have migrated onto mobile screens. So to ensure that we are effectively engaging people, we need to be in these digital environments as well. But yeah, and the internet in Iraq is not just basic internet. 86% is above that kind of 3G standard, so they can stream, they can download in most places without any kind of issues. Next slide, please, Abdullah. Okay, another poll for you. Question is, are you planning to include any digital risk education as part of your activities in the future? So I'll just pause for 10 seconds to quickly allow you to do that. And Abdullah, when you're ready for the next slide. Next slide, when you've got it, please. Okay, so this problem that we've outlined in terms of, a particularly at-risk community who are not as responsive to traditional approaches and have migrated to communicating in other ways, what can we do to effectively engage them? We managed to secure a 15,000 USD grant from the German Federal Foreign Office to pilot 3 different digital explosive ordnance risk education approaches and, see which was most effective. So those were a Facebook Messenger app quiz, a virtual reality experience, and then the project we'll be talking in detail about today in the mobile app game. Next slide, please, Abdullah. So we felt we wanted to home in on mobile gaming as one of those 3 strands to try and capitalize on an emergent but increasingly kind of very large regional trend across Iraqi youth to engage with mobile gaming as a regular activity, which mirrors a lot of places around the world. This is how young people often like to spend their time. So to try and make sure that, our mobile gaming approach was accessible to all within the context, we designed or came up with an idea that's trying to be both a free app, so there was no cost to accessing it, and lightweight, so it was easy to download and would appear seamlessly on people's phones without having challenges in terms of spec approaches, and adapted to work on all kinds of different devices, both Android and iOS. So that brings me to an end for my presentation, and I will hand over to the aforementioned Abdullah to pick up the story from here.
Thanks, Robin. I will walk you through how the app works in practice. The app is built around a simple and familiar story, a young person traveling to school. Along the way, players encounter realistic explosive ordnance risks and community situations that effective everyday life, in life that affected areas. Rather than simply reading safety messages, users learn by playing. They make decisions, face consequences, and receive immediate feedback based on their choices. The game rewards safe behavior and encourages players to think through real-life situations in a safe environment. Most importantly, the app is simple to use, easy to access, and designed to engage younger people while delivering key EORE messages. From day one, we designed this tool to support learning and encourage safe behaviors, not just as a one-time project. The app available in Arabic and Sorani Kurdish, which make it accessible to our main target communities in Iraq. To support long-term use, we built the game using a standard software structure, so this keeps maintenance cost low and make it easier for other developers or missions to update and improve app in the future. And more importantly, the apps was designed to adapt it for other countries. The content is modular, which means we can easily change characters, language, and local environment without rebuilding the entire game. This allows the tool to be reused in different contexts with limited time and funding, making it a suitable regional resources and supporting future adoption to other countries and contexts. Okay, so we have video. to give a better sense of how the app is used in a practice, we developed this short video using footage from field activities and actual game experience. The video shows how community members interact with the application and how digital tools can be integrated into EORE delivery. So I will let the video speak itself.
In Iraq, reaching young people with risk education can be challenging. As a part of our effort to explore new approaches, we developed the Safe Path app game, a digital learning tool that combines interactive gameplay with risk awareness messages.
The game was designed to engage younger audiences through familiar scenarios and simple decision-making activities. Through this pilot, we explored how digital EORE tools can complement traditional EORE activities and provide an additional channel to reach communities.
Okay, developing an app like this takes more than just a good idea. Choosing the right development partner was an important first step. Instead of working with an international company, we partnered with an Iraqi technology company, so their understanding of the local context, language, and communities helped us build a tool that was both relevant and practical. We also work closely with mine action authorities, as mentioned, Robin, to review the scenarios and ensure they were appropriate for local communities and target groups. On the first version was ready, we moved into field testing and we put the app directly into the hands of young people and community members to see how they used it in real situation. Their feedback helped us really identify issue, improve the user experience, and make the game more effective as an educational tool. Working with limited time and resources, we focused on the features that would have the greatest educational impact. This allowed us to move from concept to field deployment quickly while maintaining quality and relevance. Once the SafePath app was ready, the next step was getting it into the hands of the people we designed it for. To promote the app, we mixed community liaison activities with digital advertising. This helped us reach communities directly in the field while also connecting with younger audience online. Over the project period, we delivered 5 promotion campaigns across Meta, TikTok, and Google Ads. These campaigns generated more than 653,000 views and resulted in over 8,400 apps installs across Android and iOS. One of one of our key lessons learned was that digital promotion can help EORE tools reach more people. We also found that Google Ads delivered the strongest result for app installs at a lower cost. Okay, so you see the QR code showing here links directly to the application and allows anyone to download and try it for themselves. I will share also the downloading link in the chat after the presentation for anyone who would like to explore the app feature. Like most digital projects, we sure faced a number of challenges during development and deployment. The first was working within a limited budget and very tight timeline. So this required us to focus on the features that would deliver the greatest educational value and avoid unnecessary complexity. Another challenge was ensuring that the app worked well across wide range of Android and iOS devices, a different screen size, operating system, and device performance levels required additional testing and optimization throughout development. We also learned that early testing doesn't always respect the full diversity of the intended audience. This highlighted the importance of contacting multiple rounds of testing and gathering feedback from different communities and user groups. One of our key lessons learned was the value of keeping the project simple and focused. By prioritizing the core educational objective, we were able to deliver a practical and effective tool despite resource and technical constraints. Many of these challenges are common across digital EORE initiatives, but they also provided valuable lessons that can help strengthen future projects. Okay, we have Paul. Before I hand over to my colleague, I'd like to leave you with a quick question. So the question is, which technology do you think will provide the most value for EORE in future? Okay, there is no right or wrong answer. We are simple and interested in hearing your views and experience. Okay, great. Thank you for your responses. I will now hand over to Chnur Khan for the next section. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abdullah. Thank you for your overviewing and demonstration. I would like to focus now on what we learned from the experience so far and where we will go and where we will see ourselves in the next steps. First point, I will go through the community feedback and learning. One of the most valuable parts of the project has been the feedback coming from the community themselves, or especially or coming from our field visits. The feedback came especially from the young people who are using the application. What we have observation that the engagement goes beyond simple usage. Users now not just open the game once, they are trying to replay, try to improve their scores. Once they receive the scores, and if they are not happy with that, then they will replay to improve their score, which is give them the chance to go again through the message. This is important because it tells us that it's not only that's not only they are not trying the game as education obligation. They enjoy playing and return it. They have their decision. They have the decision to stop, run away, identify the hazards, and they can see immediately the consequence of their decisions. From this experience, we learned that it's not only a simple game, it's become more than this game, because people now use it a game to express their knowledge, and also the scenario itself is not something they don't familiar with. The scenario is coming from the environment that they are familiar with, especially when the direction will be from the home to the school. So it's not that complicated. They don't need to learn a new environment. They have their own decision to make the decision immediately. And as I mentioned, they can see their immediate outcome for their decision that they made. As far as we learned from the community and their feedback, there was a positive point, there was some limitation. We also received it from our observation. One of these limitations that we received, that is, while the game is very good for the school age student, it's still not that powerful for the older age group. Especially they are needed for such kind of a game to be more complicated, more related to their daily basis and their experience. Through this one, we can take learning summary. The learning summary will be engage and increase it while learning learning is interactive. Estimated help delivered not direct from education. Ad designed must be tailored for more participatory different group age. Looking forward, we will have, from what we learned, we will have our next and future roadmap. Forward, we have some space, some stage that we need to take in consideration in the order to develop this game and make it better understand it, better useful for other age groups. First thing that we needed for this game is the sustainability. Such kind of the game, we don't want to end up like an open, close mobile application. We need to give the sustainability for this game through the funding. Funding this such kind of this game, we need to improve it and keep it updated through the stages and based on the requirement for the contamination and the risk-taking group within the community. The second thing that we need to take it in consideration is the priority to include and improve the age relevant. The age relevant must be taken in consideration, especially when we found it from the community themselves that is not suitable for all age group. So considering the age group, their daily life, their challenge, their conflicts, we will conclude it in the next stage or a next level of the game. The third part that we will work on it's sharing the collaboration of this game with the neighbor countries, especially with the countries that we have similarity in the contamination of similarity of the language and the culture, which is more suitable, especially because this game has been designed based on the standard. This standard is applicable for the different country. The only thing that needs to be considered is the similarity of the environment and the language, which will be a very important and opportunity to use this game and this application game after creating a minor change in the design and will be ready for being used from other countries. What is the pilot has been shown that the digital tools like this have already shown the ability to engage the small age group, especially when we explain it, the student in the school. So through engagement, through making decision, through this kind of the platforms, we can encourage the safe behavior and improve their their behavior to guide them through their decision making to save their life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chnur. Okay, that brings us about the end to our presentation. I'll just ask one final poll question of you, which is, what is the greatest benefit that digital EORE can provide? Your choices today are whether it is to engage hard-to-reach groups, to deliver messaging into otherwise inaccessible areas, to keep information top of mind in between sessions, or purely as a complement to traditional face-to-face risk education. Okay, just give you a moment to complete that, and then that is about us done. Please, you have a few minutes if you have any questions that you would like to ask us about the app or our approach to digital risk education in Iraq in general.
Yeah, people can post their questions in the chat, or if you want to pose the question orally, they can raise their hand and I'm going to unmute them. But I could see some questions already coming up in the Q&A section and in the chat.
Thank you for the questions, plural Bob. The relationship between casualties and phone ownership network coverage, it's a good question. I don't have that data available. I will see if we can consolidate that to create that picture, but currently we don't know how that. Abdullah, in terms of downloads, can you cover that one? Abdullah, you still with us?
Yeah, we have downloading installs around 8,000, up of 8,000.
Okay. Chnur, could you cover the results side in terms of knowledge and behavior?
The question was, what was the impact of this up game in the casualties, if I'm wrong? I'm right, yes. The change behaviors in the specific agent group, along with other traditional risk education, and pilot with what the community liaison are doing on the ground. This became a part of the risk educations. The risk education has its own impact in decreasing the number of the casualties and the results of the accident. Hopefully, and this year, the number of the accident, if we take, for example, only the Kurdistan region of Iraq, the number of accident has been reduced if you compare it with last year and the year after. Again, it's not only came from the application game, it came from other type of risk education that the community liaison and EORE teams doing on the ground.
Any chance you could answer, I'll give it a go at those next two questions as well, Chnur, in terms of measuring changes to behavior and the impact on the reduction in casualties?
For the question coming from the downloading the game, Abdullah can give us the exact number of the downloads so far. I think the reduction of the casualties, as I mentioned, is coming as a package for the other means of risk education. This has impact on the community behavior, especially students, and the number of the casualty, it has been reduced, because if we take, for example, community, our children right now, they have now the knowledge to how to protect themselves, how to stay away from the dangers, and along all the other standard message.
So I'll pick up on Bob's other question in terms of how we could attribute any reduction in casualties to the game. I think across explosive ordnance risk education, that is quite difficult in terms of measuring the behavior change and exactly what triggers it, particularly in an environment like Iraq, where it is likely that there are multiple touch points. A young child will be exposed to it in school. Maybe their family member has taught them something. Maybe they played a game. It is likely going to be a combination of factors that delivers them to the point where they are sufficiently knowledgeable of the context and familiar with the safe behaviors that they need to adopt. So I think in terms of risk education, that's a problem or a challenge across the board in terms of being able to strictly identify that it's this or that specific intervention which modified somebody's approach, and that was the specific thing that helped keep them alive. So I don't have a good solution to that one, but if anybody else does, then feel free.
I would like Robin to answer Maria's question. She asked, Marie, if I'm not wrong, asking about the most important lesson learning, or how long did it take for the assessment idea and create the game and the final implementation. The most important lesson learning that we learned from the app game, along with other digital risk education tools, that now this age group, especially where they are more engaged with the mobilization, and today we are talking about the digital EORE in general, we find out more interactive for this age group, especially when they found themselves in the middle of the game, playing the game. While they are playing in, they had the chance to explore the main message of the safety. Again, as we mentioned, the decision making is under their decision, not somebody telling them what to do and what not to do. Once they are doing the decision, they will find themselves against their immediate response or consequence of what they had decided. So again, that will give them the chance to the importance of the action that they made in their real life and how may lead to the bigger image. For the timing and the implementation or the assessment of the idea is different, because we face a challenge due to the time and the financial way. But again, within the good time, within the good idea, within the good implementation, it needs enough time to test, to develop it, to the field days, to the feedback from the community, until the end to come with the idea that we have now, mobile game or any other application ready for use within the community. I hope that answered your question, Mari.
Thanks, Chnur. So we'll bring it to a close there as we shift towards the final 15 minutes for the networking circle. But yeah, I'll just conclude by saying, this was a relatively small pilot project. Only had a budget of around kind of $5,000. But we think that we've created a great little foundation with an engaging, fun mechanism. Creating a game around risk education, not that easy, because our primary recommendations in terms of don't touch, stay away, report to the authorities, they're not fun game mechanics. You know, games often involve taking risks and doing things and, you know, trying to do things as quickly as possible, which are all counter to, you know, the overarching method that we want to deliver. But we think we got to something. And now we can just take that and advance on it, and we can scale it across other programs, both in the region and elsewhere. As Abdullah mentions, it's the universal kind of founding of it is the journey to school, which everyone, or so many people around the world all engage with regularly. So I think there's a good grounding, but certainly lots more to do, lots of learnings we have discovered. And we hope to continue with this and make it a more impactful project. And as we do that, we will make sure that, you know, that information is shared to the sector for anyone else can benefit. Okay, I will pass to Lubna to master the next stage of the session.
Well, thank you very much, Robin, and to Abdullah and to Chnur for the engaging presentation and for taking us through MAG's innovative approach to digital EORE through this app in Iraq. You have shown us how to use existing technologies to be translated into practical and also context adapted tools for EORE, which can expand both impact and expand the reach. So this is an important step forward in exploring how our EORE sector can continue to evolve and respond to different and evolving contexts. So thank you very much. And as we prepare to the transition to the next segment, the networking circle, this part is not going to be recorded. And I'd like to remind everyone that participating in the networking circle is entirely optional. So would love for you to stay and connect with fellow EORE professionals. However, if you need to leave and prefer not to join, please feel free now to log out. And we hope to see you next month. I'm going to share with you the information about the upcoming EORE hours. So to ignite our conversation in the breakout rooms, we've placed a suggested question on the screen. So remember, this is not a formal session that we're going to report on. Feel free to continue your discussion, exchange contact information, or wrap up at your own pace. And when you're ready to leave, you can simply log out. So a heartfelt thank you to the presenters, to the speakers, to everyone joining us today. And now let's break into our breakout rooms.